William L. Toomey, Boise, Idaho. On Saturday, December 4th, 1982, a man dressed in Western attire would walk into Sacred Heart's Catholic Church, and this was in Boise, Idaho, at around 4 p.m. that day. He made his way to the confessional, but it was occupied. So he was seen making his way to a row of pews, and attention was off him until shortly before 6 p.m. Mass. It was then that some parishioners noticed him lying across the pew's kneeler. They would call for help, and a registered nurse would examine him, finding he was cold and had no pulse. The nurse would say she had assumed it was an elderly man, and that she was shocked to find out he was not very old. The parishioners did their best to help, but nobody recognized him at all. It was likely he'd never been in the church before. The 6-foot or 183-centimeter tall man was most likely 35 to 45, and of course this was in 1982, meaning his date of birth was likely between 1937 and 1947, so his peers today would be in their 80s and 90s. His COD was attributed to cyanide found in his blood. He was clean-shaven, and he had styled sandy blonde hair. His eyes were gray with a hint of brown. His skin was tanned, and he was well-groomed. His Western-style clothes included a bolo tie that you can see depicted in his recreation. His shirt had long sleeves, and he was wearing a belt. Additionally, he was carrying $1,900 in cash, and this amounts to about $6,000 in today's money. He left a note to say the money was left for his funeral and cremation, asking that anything left over would go to the church. The note was signed William L. Tumi. Despite his request, he was buried instead of cremated, with the burial at the taxpayer's expense. The money was confiscated by the county. His funeral would be conducted at the church where he passed. The priest saying that this Mass was for all of those who passed in despair during the holidays. He came to us to die. We don't know who he is, but we come here in faith to pray for him, whoever he may be, and to pray for ourselves. The police would follow the lead regarding his name, hoping it would lead to his family. Instead, it was discovered that the name was taken from a company that manufactured clothing for priests and nuns, although it's possible this is some sort of a clue. The belt buckle he wore was traced to a gift shop in Arizona. Based on his tanned complexion, they believe he was from California, Arizona, or New Mexico. They would follow leads that went to Pennsylvania, New York, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Illinois over the years, but they were never able to trace his true identity. One theory that they came up with was a suggestion that he may have been involved in unaliving 2 priests from Odessa, Texas, and Yuma, Arizona. Despite this theory, there is no actual proof linking this man to those crimes, but I mention it because anything may help. His fingerprints indicated he had not been arrested in the United States. If anyone knows who he may be, the number to call is on the screen. William L. Toomey has gone unidentified for 42 years. The Westchester County John Doe, 1978. Westchester County, New York. We begin in this case on Sunday, April 23rd, 1978. And this was in Hastings-on-Hudson, New York. A man and his friend were driving north on Sawmill River Road, and he would spot the cedar chest on the screen now. They would stop to peek inside, but found it nailed shut. Not to be deterred, they would then use a tire iron from the car to go pry open the chest. However, there was not a treasure inside. They would instead discover our John Doe. He was wearing a brown jacket, and it had small lions depicted on the inside. The coroner would determine his COD was a gunshot wound to the chest. Whoever did this put him inside the chest and disposed of him off the side of the road. This is one of those cases that, in order to find out who did it, we need to know his name. Until then, it's likely at a standstill. So this, of course, leads us to who he might have been. There's a post-mortem photo available on NamUs. I don't show those on this channel. It appears very accurate to me, the depiction seen here, compared to that photo. Hastings-on-Hudson is a small village in Westchester County. This village has a population of about 8,000 people, and it covers only about 3 miles, a 5-kilometer area. So to those like me who live in less populated places, it's a little confusing, but it's basically part of New York City. It's located 22 miles or 35 kilometers from the Bronx. People from this area often take the train into Midtown Manhattan. The police had very little to go on. He'd passed about 12 hours before they found him. So thankfully they do have his image, though I don't show these on the channel. They believe he's not from the US, perhaps from Canada, Italy, or Latin America. And that's based on his fingerprints not being on file with the New York City police. His clothes were well made and expensive. He had a mustache with hair that was a little bit longer. He had on gold cufflinks, and a copper Roosevelt dime was found with him. His shirt was a custom paisley long-sleeve shirt. Police think he's probably connected to organized crime, believing the reason he had not been arrested is because he wasn't from the U.S. He was likely around 40 to 50 in 1978. This would mean whoever's looking for this man is looking for someone with the date of birth around 1928 to 1938. So that would mean his peers from that time have likely passed. They would be maybe 87 to 97 years old today. Hopefully, a younger family member is out there and still looking. He was short of stature, only 5'4" or 163 centimeters. He weighed around 150 or 68 kilograms. He has family somewhere who deserve to know his fate. And regardless of any possible links to criminal activities, I fully believe he still deserves his name back. There's no proof of any criminal activities. That's worth stating. You can always contact Crime Stoppers where you can anonymously report tips. The Westchester John Doe has gone unidentified for 47 years so far. Bella Doe, North Vancouver, British Columbia. We begin this case in Canada. It was here in North Vancouver that our Jane Doe be found. This was on December 12, 1985. It was on this day that a crane operator working at the dry dock would spot our Jane Doe floating in the water. The medical examiner would conclude that she'd passed 1 to 2 days prior. She would be nicknamed Bella due to the name written inside one of her boots. They would conclude that it's likely she accidentally drowned. Bella was white and she wore upper dentures. It's possible she had some for the bottom and they were lost in the water. Her eyes were likely a gray color. She was probably 55 to 70 in 1985. This would mean her date of birth was around 1915 to 1930. She was 170 pounds or 77 kilograms and around 5'6" or 168 centimeters. She had an obvious curve to her spine, and this was due to scoliosis. She had a vertical scar on her mid-abdomen. This was around 13 centimeters or 5 inches for us Americans. One additional scar was much smaller, around 5 centimeters, and this was on the right side of her abdomen. She had recently dyed her hair blonde, so her original color is unknown. Her pants were size 16 from Sears, along with a black button-up blouse, white turtleneck, and a green wool vest, as well as a gray wool coat. They also uncovered a lucky horseshoe as seen here, and some clip-on gold earrings, and they know that she was a smoker. She had a pack of Viscount cigarettes and a lighter in her pocket. It's unknown if the name Bella belongs to a previous owner of her boots, or it's her name or a nickname. It seems odd no one identified her. She was dressed as if she had been somewhere, at some sort of event. They knew she'd had recent oral surgery and appeared to be in good health. It's possible she traveled to the area from somewhere else and was alone. Investigators went for people in the area, trying to see if anyone could identify her. They were unable to find anyone. And of course, this was done 4 decades ago. But now, after all that time, family and friends are the best option. Perhaps she had an adult child at the time. There's a suggestion, while there's no proof, that someone purposely pushed her off a dock into the water. Others suggested she had taken a sea bus to North Vancouver and fell or was pushed off. Without knowing who she is, they can't pinpoint how or what happened, or even if there was a perpetrator. Bella has gone unidentified for 39 years. Please contact the number on the screen if you have any idea who she may have been.
Huge thanks for watching all the way to the end, and a big thanks to all of you who consistently like and comment on the videos. Whether you leave a full comment or an emoji, it makes a huge difference. So if you consistently watch my videos, maybe take a moment to subscribe. It's a huge push toward the videos being suggested to new people. The next goal is 20,000. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care of yourselves and each other.